I will now call to order the Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee to order for Monday, November 20th. I do apologize for our tardiness. We do have a full agenda this evening. We'll start with introductions, starting with my colleagues on the first row.
Thank you, Madam Leader. My name is Michael Paul Hart, representing District 18.
Thank you, Madam Leader. Paul Ane, District 23.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Keith Potts, District 2, Washington Township.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Turn your mic on. Looks so funny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jessica McCormick, District 15, West Side.
Only been doing it for 4
Thank
years.
you, Madam Chair. Good evening. Kristen Jones, District 16.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilor Jared Evans, representing District 22 on the far west side.
Good evening. David Ray, District 19 on the east side.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilwoman Lakeisha Jackson on the far east side, representing Warren and Lawrence Township.
Good evening, Leroy Robinson, representing District 1.
Thank you, Madam Leader. Zach Adamson, District 17, the near northeast, near east, and near southeast side of downtown.
Good evening. And again, my name is Maggie Lewis. With consent, councilors, I would like to take a few of these out of order. Do I have consent? Consent. Also with consent, I would like to take proposals number 316, 317, 318, 319, 320, 321, 322, 323, and 324 together.
Consent.
These are all
Proposal
appointments
number
for
316
different.
reappoints Brian Barton to the Marion County Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals.
Animal
Proposal number
advisory,
317
zoning
reappoints
appeals.
Kathy Good to the Marion County
Pretty
Property
boring
Tax
stuff, no
Assessment
biggie.
Board of Appeals. Proposal number 318 reappoints Daniel Hines to the Marion County Animal Service Advisory Board. Proposal number 319 reappoints Jennifer Witt to the Metropolitan Board of Zoning Appeals Division 1. Proposal number 320 reappoints Craig Von Dillon to the Metropolitan Board of Zoning Appeals Division 2. Proposal number 321 reappoints Patrice Duckett Brown to the Metropolitan Board of Zoning Appeals Division 2. Proposal number 322 reappoints Percy Bland Jr. to the Metropolitan Board of Zoning Appeals Division 3. Proposal number 323 reappoints Aaron McBride to the Metropolitan Board of Zoning Appeals.
Look at this chick.
Proposal number
She's eating.
324
Look at
reappoints
McCormick.
Anna Sanders to the Woodruff Place Economic
She's
Improvement
eating.
District Board.
Like, dude, you're in a board meeting.
Questions, comments?
What are you doing?
regarding any of those reappointments? You do have their meeting attendance. Comments, Councilor McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor for 319, please.
Surprised I didn't ask for a napkin.
Excellent, thank you. Additional comments from councilors. Councilor Hart.
You mean NA?
On A, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to thank all of those being reappointed. They all have very strong attendance records, and that should be noted, and appreciate their continued service to our city.
Thank you, councilors. Any other comments from councilor? Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I want to echo the same sentiments and thank them all for their eagerness to serve and also be added as a
She's still
co-sponsor to
eating.
appointment number 3.
What are you doing?
Thank you. Additional comments?
You're
from
in an
councilors?
elected position.
Is there anyone in the audience
And
that
you're
wishes to
eating.
speak to any of the proposals just mentioned?
Embarrassing.
Seeing
Embarrassing.
none, I'll entertain a motion. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam Leader. I would move that we send the aforementioned proposals to the full council with a due pass recommendation.
And I second that.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank
She's
you all
still
that are in the
eating.
audience that
Are you
are
kidding me?
being reappointed, and thank you for your commitment to our city. Also, Councilor, out of order, I would like to speak to proposal number 331. I know we have several individuals in the audience that wish to speak to that proposal. Councilor Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion to move that we postpone proposal 331 to November 28th at 6 p.m.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded to send proposal number 331 to the next scheduled Metro meeting. Please state that date one more time, Councilor Evans.
Yes, Chairwoman. This is 11/28, next Tuesday at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Comments from councilors?
Something's going on.
Councilor Potts.
Thank you, Madam Leader. I'd just like to share with my colleagues that as a district councilor, I would like to see if we can get this proposal taken care of tonight. Thank you.
Additional comments. Councilor Barth. I'm sorry, and Councilor Barth, introduce yourself. She did that earlier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm John Barth. I represent Council District 7, and I'm a guest tonight, so I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'll be very quick. Broad Ripple is a new part
She's
of my
still
district. I'm looking forward
eating.
to representing it starting in January. In anticipation of that, I've been working closely with leaders in Broad Ripple for the last couple of years, and I appreciate their partnership with me. And the goal tonight in this delay is to try to get to a win-win solution so everyone can be supportive of this proposal next Tuesday. Right now, there's a lot of confusion and a lack of clarity about how using the TIF for this function will affect other parts of the TIF district. And my goal is
For those who don't know,
to have
TIFs are really
ongoing
bad.
discussions with the administration and have a solid agreement as to how the future could look, and really come to a meeting on Tuesday with a win-win solution that everyone can get behind. So thank you. And so therefore, I'd like to ask folks to support this.
Thank you. The motion's been Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Leader. Just wanted to be clear that Councilor Potts is the current district councilor for this proposal. And Councilor Evans, you moved to postpone Councilor Potts' proposal, is that correct?
Yep. I don't think my words were confusing.
He's starting crap.
He said yes.
What was that, Councilor?
He said yes.
Leroy's like,
Thank you. I just want to be sure that.
Leroy's like, what'd you say, boy?
Councilor Robinson is asking to support the district councilor, Councilor Potts' request to hear the proposal this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of postponing proposal number 331 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Aye. The motion carries. Again, thank you all in the audience that did come out this evening to discuss this proposal. Again, we'll take it up on 11/28 at 6 p.m. Thank you all. The next item on our agenda is proposal number
Everybody's looking really
299,
confused
which is a
right now for some
declaratory
reason.
resolution and redevelopment plan of the Metropolitan Development Commission.
Look at McCormick.
Establishing an Alabama Street redevelopment project area and Alabama Street allocation area, and removes the territory from the consolidated Harding
Like,
Street redevelopment project.
what's going
and
on right
allocation
now?
area.
I'm so confused.
Yes.
I believe the clerk would like the count from the last vote.
I'm sorry. So there was 3 nays. Councilor Potts, Councilor Robinson, and
Raise your
Councilor
hand.
Jackson. Oh, Adamson. Nays or yays? Oh. Okay.
Everybody's so confused. And he's like, what's this all about? Get your stuff in order.
1, 2, 6. Oh, okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What, you didn't vote? I didn't vote?
1, 2, 3,
Would you vote?
4, 5, 6. It was 6-5.
Jared Evans is mean mugging his
6 to
laptop
5?
right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor McCormick. So again, proposal number 299.
Adamson's eating too? Dude!
And who's
Come
presenting
on.
that proposal? Chase Smith.
What is wrong with everybody?
I have a flash drive. Can anybody throw it on the screen for me?
Oh shit, Larry Vaughn. Oh man, for those who don't know who Larry Vaughn is, you are in for a treat. Larry Vaughn is fireworks. You're gonna love this guy.
Members of the committee, my name is Chase Smith. I'm the Vice President of Market Rate Development at TWG
Oh, this is gonna be so
Development.
good.
I was hesitating for a moment because I think we already presented to this body a couple weeks ago, and so I did not intend to present today. Reminder, this is for our project on North Alabama Street, which we're referring to as the North Alabama Street redevelopment, consisting of a 32-story new construction tower, as well as 150 hotel rooms, 190 apartment units, 24 condos, all in the new tower, connected to the old City Hall, which will house a 2-story public art gallery as well as future office space. Reminder, we have 21C on board as our hotel partner. And again, we presented a couple weeks ago regarding the tax increment financing that we're requesting from this body. So I'm certainly here to answer any questions.
So, again, councilors, we heard proposal number 299 and proposal 300 at our last committee. Are there questions, comments regarding proposal 299 and 300? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal number 299 and 300? Just state your name and direct your questions to
Larry
me.
Vaughn, please. Madam Chairman, I just want to ask anybody that's capable of answering this question, how many millions of dollars in bond issues from a municipal bond bank, which is already overdrawn, will this job take? And the gentlemen, the principals of this company are in here tonight. You people at home, they're in here because they're getting tax abatements and so forth out of your pocket to increase your taxes and your assessed value on your property, because there is no direct revenue stream to even pay
This
the
guy's so
dividends
confused
on
right
this,
now.
$30 million bond issue they're about ready to do right here tonight. So $30 million are these developers, are so-called developers who are in here tonight to get money from the public out of your tax dollars that you're paying on your property taxes to fund this new, what I think is actually a pipe dream, because it's all been tied into the TIF districts and so forth, which have never panned out. The Circle City Mall, that's a TIF district. I was here the night they approved it, and surely it has not paid one dime in property taxes. The Chase Tower, not paying any taxes. In fact, the core of downtown is 70% abandoned. No taxes are being paid out of the now debunked TIF districts, and we're still paying dividends on the bond issues, and I just wonder when the people are going to call for their principals. And now, with this new bond money, we're paying 10%.
Thank you for your comments. Additional comments regarding proposal number 2.
Larry Vaughn is awesome. She's still eating.
Please state your name. Again, everyone will be given 2 minutes to speak on proposals. If someone says something that you were thinking about saying, do not.
Brian Maury's here too now.
Good
Yes,
evening,
ma'am.
Council. My name is Caitlin White. I'm the co-founder of Nomad Alliance, Indiana Chapter, along with my partner, who testified last month in regards to Proposal 299 and 300. I'm here this evening to pose a different perspective for all of us. Last month, before the full council meeting and this committee meeting on the 23rd, we drove by the North Alabama site, of which 299 and 300 is the proposal we're discussing. We witnessed a fence around the entire parking lot. There were no signs or any addressing the site being closed and or informing communication to our neighbors that are on the streets who are served at that served distribution site. As we all know, these proposals were not approved at this meeting, whereas to the public and to Nomad Alliance, the knowledge of these proposals have not been voted on
no
and
to
therefore not even approved.
Somebody Joe.
This has not
Genocide
even
Joe.
been voted on. Last week, before the city council meeting, we drove by the parking lot again, and this time there were advertisements wrapped around the entire fence. This is still to be true as we drove by tonight. The city of Indianapolis and the mayor of Indianapolis's logo, as if a stamp of approval, was already on the fence. TWG's name all over with the casted vision of what's coming wrapped around the fence as well. I stated I come to pose a new perspective, whereas I ask the council members, the public, and those in this room to truly open your hearts and minds to the fact that these proposals do not assist our neighbors that have been served here at that parking lot for several years. When are we going to see our neighbors on the streets as ourselves? When are we going to stop pushing them out of downtown area and truly see them as humans? When are we going to stop the behind-the-scenes conversations and planning and stop actively continuing the patterns?
Time's up.
You can finish your sentence. Finish your sentence.
Nomad Alliance and other organizations that are out here truly serving and assisting our neighbors on the street are here to hold the city accountable and make the changes with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
For those who don't know,
Additional
too,
comments?
TWG is a major donor for the Hogsett administration. Let's go through the campaign reports.
Just a quick suggestion. Could I ask the DPW director who's in attendance tonight and other city officials to find another place for a recycling bin downtown if they haven't done that yet? Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments? Noted, sir. Additional comments regarding Proposal 299 and 300?
Easy peasy.
Good evening.
Good evening, councilors. My name is TK, and
Hello,
I'd just
TK.
like to continue with their time. We make a great team, KT and I. So when are we going to see our neighbors on the streets as ourselves? When are we going to stop pushing them out of downtown area and truly see them as humans? When are we going to stop with the behind-the-scenes conversations and planning and stop actively continuing the patterns of our government that are not looking at all humans? When are we going to see that our current housing problems are not going to be solved by another investment company coming in, requesting millions of dollars of taxpayers and offering a temporary situation? The minimum of affordable housing is offered in these proposals, yes, though nothing more, nothing less. We get to
I was at a
witness
city
these
council
patterns,
meeting,
witness
and
how
Larry
they are not
Vaughn was
serving all of
there,
our
and he had a
citizens of
sign.
Indianapolis and/or a
I
long-term
can't
housing
remember
solution.
exactly what it said, but it
All the
was
while,
like,
as we strive as a
Joe
collective consciousness
Hogsett
to
rapes
make changes
children.
for our city and all that choose Indianapolis as home.
And they had to, like, kind of put
Nomad
him in the
Alliance
corner
and
so the
other
camera didn't pick
organizations
him
that are
up.
out here truly serving and assisting our neighbors on the streets are here to hold the city accountable and make these changes with you. Can we count on you for that commitment? We have a goal to end homelessness by 2023. How serious are we taking that? When we look to these projects, and especially this site that was serving this population, why are we not taking that into account? And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments regarding Proposal 299 and 300? You have a question? Yeah. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam Leader. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, too, that the city is actively in the process of building and creating a downtown location for our homeless residents that's not far from this location
Are
already.
you sure, though?
So the city is actually working to address these issues as well. I just want to make sure that doesn't get missed in this conversation.
There's nothing being
Vice
built, by the
President
way.
Anderson. Yes.
And he
My
just
name is
goes back to
Max Starr,
chowing
and
down.
I'm President of the Mass Ave Cultural Arts District, and we're here to express our support for the new development at Alabama Street. It will be a great bookend to Bottleworks Hotel for the Mass Ave District, and available to answer any questions you might have of us.
Thank you so much. Additional comments regarding Proposal 299, 300? No, you can't.
Hi.
Larry Vaughn.
And thank you, Councilman, for reminding us about the hub that the city's in process of building. But I would propose that we could use this site. In the meantime, it's going to take forever to get that all built while our neighbors die on the street and have less and less places to go to eat because of the city's venture to squeeze down the food administrations and such. But this place would be a perfect place to kind of have as a temporary hub, and then maybe after we're finished serving our neighbors until the new site gets built, maybe then TMG could do whatever they like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's not going to
Anyone else in the
happen.
audience wish to speak to Proposal Number 299, 300? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam Leader. I would move that we send Proposal 299 to the full council with a due pass recommendation.
300.
I'm sorry, 300.
299 and 300.
299 and 300 to the full council with a due pass recommendation.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we move on, Leader Maury, would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Thank you, Madam Leader. Brian Mowry, District 25.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 314, designates Ontario Street between St. Clair Street and to the north and E. Walnut Street to the south as Tom Jones Memorial Way. Proposal number 314.
Tom Jones.
Tom Harton.
Tom Jones.
The floor is yours.
Guy from Mars Attacks?
Hi, I'm Tom Harton. I'm Vice President of the Chatham Arch Neighborhood Foundation. Tom Jones was a self-taught builder who moved into Chatham Arch with his longtime partner, Paul Atkinson, in 1990. Tom managed the design and construction of their two-story brick house near East and St. Clair Streets, and he then renovated a cottage at 648 East Arch before building 10 homes in Chatham Arch, 3 homes on the Old North Side, and 1 in Lockerbie. Tom was a great champion of Chatham Arch. He served on our neighborhood board and our urban design committee and wrote and edited the Chatham Arch Archives newsletter. Eventually, he and Paul gifted to our neighborhood the land that is now Chatham Commons Park at St. Clair and East Streets. Tom also gave us a sizable donation to allow us to really fund the Chatham Arch Neighborhood Foundation. And our foundation's assets have allowed us, with neighborhood donations, to restore several of our brick alleys, improve Chatham Commons Park, and pay our ongoing electricity expenses for streetlights in our neighborhood. Our most recent alley restoration is Ontario Street between St. Clair and Walnut Streets. Most of you would think it was an alley, but it's actually a street, and it runs alongside the first house that Tom Jones built in our neighborhood, the house that he and Paul lived in prior to their deaths. I come before you today to request not a renaming of the street, but its designation as Tom Jones Memorial Way. This is a fitting tribute to Tom and a way to build on our neighborhood's rich history with a physical reminder of all that Tom achieved for our neighborhood. Thank you.
Vice President Addison.
Oh, go ahead,
Thank
Jessica.
You, Madam Mayor, and thank you,
go
Tom,
ahead.
for all the
go ahead, go on your
activism
phone.
that you've been involved with Chatham Arch and this project. And as the district councilor here, I'm
messing
excited
around.
To support this
No
and
big deal.
My, colleagues
checking out your
support as well.
Facebook. Adamson still eating? What are you doing? Jeez.
Thank you, Madam Leader. I would move that we send proposal 314 to the full
Eat
council with the
before
recommendation.
You get to work.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 315, approves, ratifies, and confirms a declaratory resolution, economic development plan, and establishment of an allocation area by the Metropolitan Development Commission designated as the additional professional sports development area.
Oh, this about the soccer stadium?
Yes,
Hello, members of the committee. My name's Rusty Carr, serve as the Director of the Department of Metropolitan Development. My colleague Hannah Thomas over here is getting this pulled up. I will be brief in my remarks, and then I will turn it over to some representatives here from Keystone Development Corporation for a little bit about 11 Park, and then happy to answer questions. So a little bit about the professional sports development area. What this is, the PSDA. What's before you is really the introduction and the first step in the legislative process for a broader vision for 11 Park and a professional sports stadium. This was actually made possible through the Indiana General Assembly as passage of SB Senate Bill 7 from 2019. So again, just reiterating that this was enacted and enabled by us from Senate Bill 7 by the General Assembly in 2019. Again, this first step to making the construction of the park and stadium a reality. It would capture state revenues up to $9.5 million per year, as well as local income taxes and excise tax revenues. So think food and beverage tax, hotel tax, those types of things, and that would finance the stadium. The property is included. If you want to go to the next slide, Hannah. You can see here, this joins the 1997 professional sports development area that includes Lucas Oil, Gainbridge, Victory Field, and about 13 other hotels, including the Marriott, JW, Westin, and Hyatt. It will also include a number of other projects that are not yet constructed or development of Keystone Group themselves. These include the Intercontinental Hotel, 220 North Meridian, which is the former AT&T building, and a few other hotel projects. So this has been before the Metropolitan Development Commission and is thus then before you here tonight. And so with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Keystone to talk a little bit about the vision for 11 Park before answering any questions.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kelly Mulder. I'm VP of Development with Keystone Development. And you can go to the next slide, please. You guys have probably seen some of these published before, but we thought since we're here, really speak about the PSDA, we'd just at least give you a brief overview. I think there's one more, please, that has the overview of the...
Nope, that's all you got me. That's all you gave me.
Well, whether we have it or not, I'll make it brief too, but just give you the overview. So again, 11 Park, it is going to be a transformational riverfront development proposed for downtown Indianapolis. The primary component of that will be a 20,000-seat multi-purpose soccer stadium. And while the stadium is the centerpiece of the development, there will be about $1.5 billion investment in total. What that will also include is 600 apartments, more than 197,000 square feet of retail and restaurant space, over 205,000 square foot of office, a couple hotels, green spaces, public plaza, and a 4,000-seat indoor music.
Larry Vaughn knows what's up.
Really,
it's just going bye-bye.
The White River banks as well, similar to what they did on the other side.
That money's coming out of nowhere.
So, well, this transformational project will change the future skyline of Indianapolis and create over 1,000 new jobs and have a huge economical impact. We also recognize the history of the site. We've been in touch with interested individuals. We'll continue to keep those lines of communication open. We are diligently working with an archaeological expert to follow up on all the proper procedures, state and local guidelines. We're committed to following the legal process and requirements of the excavation with an archaeological site per the permit issued by the Division of Historic Preservation and Archaeology, and to showing respect and sensitivity should any discoveries be made on site. Again, we understand the importance of the archaeological site to many members of the community and look to have conversations with those who we can work with to explore ways to commemorate the history as we all work together on the future of this transformational site. That's all I have for me. I can turn that back over to...
For those who don't know, it's a burial ground, and they're not sure if they got all the bodies out of there yet.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We'll start with questions, comments from my colleagues. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you for your presentation. For those who are in the audience and those at home, particularly concerned about this project, are there any highlights that you can tell them that are benefits to the larger community at large?
No, there's none.
Maybe any?
Yeah, again, so this area is fairly blighted, that's right now, and this development really is looking to transform this entire neighborhood. One, we're taking cues from Elanco, what they've done really to invigorate White River. There's a lot of opportunity for us to engage with that. Again, kind of get into the fabric of the community that's there. Henry Street Bridge is coming across the street here from the south. Again, a major connection point from the city of Elanco. Another city project that is pumping a lot of dollars into that really great bridge and connection. The Culture Trail is part of that, so that actually comes right through Henry Street, comes up Kentucky, right on this this image that you can see, comes right up there, and then connects into really the Culture Trail that's in front of Lucas Oil Stadium. The other public component of this that we think is really going to help this entire community is the public plaza aspect. That one we really see, again, how can we energize that 365 days a year to bring people and people in the community. Part of that would be
it's right across the
farmers
street from
markets that can
Victory
happen and
Field,
really
the
establish
baseball
something
stadium.
that's happening on this side
It's
of town,
just
which doesn't exist over there
ugly.
right now. But farmers markets bring families there for
where are you
viewing
gonna
nights.
park?
On Saturday nights, we would have a free public amphitheater that would be part of this plaza, a big green space for kids to run in. Again, some planning is going for small water features, again, kids parks, really to bring the families here and give them something to do in this area. So those are some of the visions that come along with the public process here.
Another
that
place
we
for all
hope
the
really
bums.
enliven this sector.
And thank you for that, Madam Chair. And with the sacredity of the burial sites, this is a very sensitive subject, and maybe Rusty or you, someone else can help him or aid in this. will there be those entities helping for preservation or be in the process of being included in maybe a memorial, a statue, or something to add in the acknowledgement of what's going on in that process, a historical, something created, and then a community be involved in that as
Here
well.
lies
It's very
the-
sensitive, and I want to hear more about that as well, if we may, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you.
And have
Yeah,
a
I mean,
sign,
all
it's like, here
fantastic
lies
ideas, and again,
former
in the
bodies.
statement, we're willing and want to work with the community on this for whatever is found. There's obviously in a district like that, there's a lot of, again, how can we commemorate not only history, but there's public art components, so how do we mesh those together in something that's meaningful for the community?
What do we have to do to get this done?
We are 100% open to continue to have those dialogues to find the right solution that everyone can be happy with.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we're getting that there is an actual commitment to that.
There will be if you want it.
Yeah, and on top of just, again, commemorating it, we do have an archaeologist on staff full-time.
Is that what you
That will
want?
be part of it.
We'll make
She
you
is
happy?
here. She's welcome to
Then you'll
come
approve
up
it?
and speak about any of the tangible things that we will do and put in place to make sure, again, we're respecting, again, the law and everything that we do find. So there's sort of two processes, but yes, we're definitely committed to find a way to commemorate whatever is discovered.
I think for the public and for this process, from what we're hearing and what I'm hearing, I think we would want to hear from her if we could.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you.
please.
Linda,
Please.
would you mind coming up,
Come
please?
forward and state your name.
Larry Vaughn. I can't get enough of this guy. Too much fun. Hi.
Yes, I'm really ready to speak on how we're going to commemorate and deal with any kind of human
state your name.
remains that we run. Pardon?
State your name, please.
Oh, my name is
Yes.
Linda Weintraut. I am president of Weintraut and Associates. We are a cultural resource management firm who works in the central Indiana area and in the larger Indiana area. Okay. So our whole goal, we started this process several months ago, and we've been conducting research, trying to learn as much as we can about this area before the archaeological dig even starts. So we've spent time talking to community members. We have researchers on staff. We're trying to find out what's been sold, what was going on there, so that we can develop a chronology before our archaeologists even go in the field. We believe this information is going to be helpful in any kind of public presentation that's made after the fact. Right now, we don't know what we're going to find because archaeology is like a quest. I mean, you don't know what's beneath the surface. You think you know, but until you get there, you really don't. So that's kind of where we are.
The dude in the back. He's like, what are you talking about?
Paperwork with the state. We have consulted with the head of the Division of Historic Preservation and Archaeology, and she has granted us a permit to do this work, and we will be starting shortly.
Just so that we all are on the same page, can you speak to your bio, the firm, how long you've been doing this type of work? Just want to know a little bit about your area of expertise, if you will.
Okay. We have been in business since 1995, which is longer than I would like to admit. And we've done several cemeteries. The archaeologists on staff have come to us with different kinds of expertise. We are also using IUPUI's bioarchaeology department. Jeremy Wilson has worked with several cemeteries throughout the country, and once we encounter a human remain, or a skeleton, we will take it to IUPUI, where it will be thoroughly analyzed. We will create kind of a spreadsheet of what we're finding, and he's going to create small profiles of each of the skeletons that we encounter. Now, how that advances throughout the creative process, we don't know exactly yet, because we don't know if we're going to encountered none, 5, 50, what, we just don't know. But that's kind of the progress of this.
Like Councilor Jackson, we have received lots of correspondences, and so I just wanted the audience and the folks at home watching to understand the level of expertise that you all bring to this project. So that's why I was asking for that information. Okay, so thank you. Additional questions, comments from the councilors? We're going to open it up for questions and comments from the, yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. We're going to take questions, comments from the audience. You will be given 2 minutes to speak. And again, if someone, before you make a comment that you were thinking about making, there's no need to repeat it. We heard it the first time. Again, want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to
be
speak
efficient
to the proposal. So, yes, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, distinguished council members. My name is Eunice Trotter, and I am Director of Indiana Landmarks Black Heritage Preservation Program. And I am a member of the Indiana Remembrance Coalition, which is a coalition of local large churches and other organizations. I come before you today representing both organizations. As a preservationist, a journalist, a genealogist, and a historian, my job and my passion are to preserve history, particularly Black history, throughout the state of Indiana. I do this work through educating, building preservation capacity, and providing grants to organizations doing this work. Tonight, you are considering the creation of a professional sports development taxing district that will support the 11 Park development. Revenue from this district will be in addition to state contributions of up to $9.5 million per year toward debt service. Citizens, visitors, and businesses will finance this tax.
Jeez.
To be clear, we support the $1 billion Indy 11 soccer stadium project, and we want it to be successful. It is a great boon for the city of Indianapolis. However,
will it be, though?
We know the 20-acre site is and remains the burial grounds of the city's earliest residents, pioneers of Indianapolis. It should be a landmark. This was also the site of the city's first and only Black cemetery. You may have been told that all remains were removed, but we all know that this is not accurate. Information remains of people have been uncovered over the years as late as 2010. We are now awaiting the results of a ground-penetrating radar study that we commissioned. May I continue?
You can finish your sentence.
Okay. However, the small area we were allowed to examine is not an adequate sampling of the site. More of the area should be investigated before construction begins. Given the importance of this site, our city's history, I'd like to offer 2 requests, and they're quick ones.
That's a real long sentence. That's a run-on. So I need you to wrap it
get
up. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, what I'd like to do then is either take someone else's time.
You can't take anyone's time, but
or leave my written comments,
yes,
because it is critically important that, you guys know the full story of what's going on this site.
So maybe one of your colleagues can pick up where you left off. I want to be fair to everyone, so.
Okay, all right, I get it. I get it. Okay, all right.
No, she did not, Larry. I got it. All right. So, next,
I'll be next.
I'll be next. Get him, Larry. Get him.
Do you have the sign-in sheet? Go ahead, sir, and then we'll take the sign-in sheet after that.
I'm number 2 on the sign-in anyway.
On that one? Oh, right on. Yes, sir.
Eunice took most of my thunder, so I will be brief in a different direction.
State your name, please.
I'm sorry. My name's Leon Bates.
Yes, sir.
I am a PhD student at the University of Louisville in the Department of Pan-African Studies. I'm a school academically trained historian. What I will say is when we're going through this is that we're proposing to pass a bond measure to finance this project. We know their remains are there, in that if we go with the process of, well, we'll move them if we find them, that means anybody who's not found gets left and paved over.
Mm-hmm.
That means if you find someone, you have to stop. This causes delays. You find enough delays, and this will delay that project and cost even more. A simpler process is to add to this bond measure enough money to be able to go in and archaeologically clear the entire 25-acre site.
Or,
and be done with
hear
it.
me out.
If I had my way, we'd plant grass and be done with this.
There we go.
I am a realist enough to know that 25 acres in the middle of downtown Indianapolis, somebody's going to build on it. So if they're gonna build on it, then let's put the money in up front and remove everyone. Then we can say with a straight face and be honest, if we find someone, it was truly an accident. But you start digging tomorrow, that's not an accident. We know they are there. At best, we know that approximately 25,000 people were buried there, but only 8,000 to 10,000 can be accounted for. That means we're missing 10,000, 15,000 people. Where are they? They're still there. The more humane, rational approach is to appropriate the money in this bond issue up front and get an archaeological firm to actually go through in the beginning and go through that site, locate the people, and then move them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So, Madam, the clerk is, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Yes, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is John Moore. Actually, I'm here tonight because I'm representing my genealogy mentor who mentioned Green Lawn Cemetery to me about 8 years ago, and she has since passed. So there's a lot of importance of mouth to ear as we go through this. But I'm going to continue reading what Eunice started. Picking up where we left off. Yes. You may have been told that all remains were removed, but we know that is not accurate information because remains of people have been uncovered over the years as late as 2010. First, we ask that you consider using some of the proceeds from the taxing district for further exploration, genealogical work, and commemoration. Currently, genealogical work is being done by volunteers from the Indiana African American Genealogy Group, of which I am a member. Second, we ask that 2 members of the IRC, which has already been mentioned as the Indiana Remembrance collaboration, be included in communications between the city and the developer project team to be accurately informed as the project develops. Earlier you heard speakers from the program developers, and they said, oh yeah, we want to work with them, we want to work with them. Well, try to write in some mechanism for enforcement of that sentiment. Deputy Mayor Judith Thomas has formed an advisory council that will explore how the cemetery will be memorialized. I think we're all on board with some sort of a memorialization of the cemetery, but our real primary concern is the remains be discovered and relocated in a way that all of the others were relocated. Just short up. We support her efforts and ask for your support in funding the memorialization. What is happening here, the erasure of black heritage, is not unique to Indianapolis. We've seen things on 60 Minutes and all of that. We are asking for this site to be treated with dignity and respect. Indianapolis can be a model of how to handle such responsibilities. Thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you.
Yes.
Larry Vaughn, please. Hey, what if it's a battle?
So after Mr. Vaughn, we're going to go to the, you have the list? Okay. Okay. So you can go ahead, Mr. Vaughn. Go ahead.
What if it's a battleground and we never recover the bodies? I can't believe what I'm hearing tonight. People are actually coming in here to ask to exhume bodies that have been resting for over 100 years. They should be ashamed of themselves coming in here trying to bilk money out of this council for that purpose. It's a smokescreen. You people at home can see it. Yep. It's just a smokescreen, but it can't cover up this project that is, it's just like the Center Circle Center Mall. Tax abatements, bond issues, it hasn't paid a penny in taxes. People are sick and tired of the sports model. Nobody wants to watch soccer. Nobody wants to go anywhere
So
for retail
true, Larry.
anymore.
So
Retail is over. No,
That's
it's only 2 minutes. Retail is over. You get Amazon delivered to your door the next day. There's no use in setting up a bunch of places to go to conference and so forth, and then have it stand empty like our convention center stood empty when we had the so-called COVID disaster. So to spend money, and you people laugh if you want to,
please speak to the proposal.
Please, Maggie.
No,
But
stay
see,
focused.
this is what people at home, you're being bilked down here tonight out of billions of dollars in bond issues that are going to come due one of these days. And now the city is paying 10% for this money that they're going to allow these puff men to come in here and take off the table tonight. They're going to allow them to do it, and they're going to use all slave labor to achieve this goal. So,
Point of order.
It's a slave labor deal.
Mr. Vaughn,
and
thank
Point
you
of
for your
order.
comments.
The cemetery
thank
is
you.
nothing
Point
but
of
a
order.
smokescreen.
Mr. Vaughn, thank you. If you can't stay focused on the proposal, I'm not going to allow you to. No, you need to stay focused.
You tell people to come down there, then you interrupt.
Mr. Vaughn, I don't want to have you escorted out tonight. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, and thank you for your service. My name is Reverend Dick Ham, formerly head of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, which is headquartered here in Indianapolis. This project has clear ethical and moral dimensions. The cemetery or cemeteries below the proposed development project were obviously not properly handled when the city of Indianapolis was given complete control of the cemetery 100 years ago in 1923. And while the records are largely lost or incomplete, it is clear that at least a portion of the cemetery holds the remains of African American citizens. I think it no accident that the decade of the 1920s, when the city did not take seriously the legal mandate to remove and reinter all remains, also saw the height of the Ku Klux Klan in Indiana. Even
really?
now,
That's
in
where we're going to go with this one?
2023,
Okay.
Some seem to think that
Even
the
Larry
remains
Vaughn's
are
laughing
not
at this whole
important
thing.
and should simply be built over. Some are suggesting that in order to make way for economic progress, these burial grounds should be treated essentially as landfills. On the contrary, I believe very strongly that these graves should be exhumed and moved to a site where they can be accessed and where the individuals buried there can be honored as fully human. This is especially important in the case of these people, most of whom were treated as less than fully human in both life and death.
Okay.
Preserving such sacred spaces allows us to understand our past and reminds us what we value as a society. When we individually or collectively act as though nothing important happened before we got here, our community life as a city and a society becomes thinner and thinner, and our own humanity suffers. As a person who has laid many people to their rest, I just remind us that RIP does not mean rest in pavement, but rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Progressive pastors are the worst.
Mr. Carr, 1 second, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, may I make just a clarification quickly?
Yes, please.
That this proposal before us and before you is not actually a bond resolution. This simply creates the professional sports development area, which really is needed to inform a feasibility study, a financial feasibility study that will go to the General Assembly before a project financing can be put together, which then, if all of that were to move forward, a bond authorization would then come back before this committee again for a full project agreement and authorization. So just wanted to mention that this is, again, the very first step in the legislative process. There'll be more of these to come, and this informs the actual financial feasibility report to the General Assembly.
They just have to zone it different.
Yes.
Saying.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on this topic before we move into other aspects of this, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. My name's Gary Moody. This process began pretty much with plans for the Henry Street Bridge project. And for that, the city received a report from Weintraub and Associates. Ms. Weintraub's conclusions as to the archaeological procedures that she wanted to do contained gibberish and misinformation. It misrepresented the archaeologist that she alluded to told her, and also the archaeologist at IUPUI says that he would prefer to mitigate the cemetery. I tried to talk about this with Director Herget earlier this year. Apparently it was refused, apparently. I managed to have a brief conversation with Judith Thomas. Greg Stremlaw, the CEO of Indy 11, told me at the groundbreaking that he's going to follow the city's example. The DNR DHPA director has said in a letter on a related project that monitoring is not appropriate for a cemetery. It is not appropriate to find human remains with construction equipment. That's rather indecent. That's why the federal projects have strict requirements to find them first. Geophysical surveys are fast, efficient, and not terribly costly. Okay, and that can be done. It just means prepping the site and rearranging some steps. That should be done, and then you will know what is on the bridge corridor site and the other development sites.
Doesn't want a little bit of a poltergeist.
Last summer, there was a large paving project in the area of the old cemetery there. I don't know if the city had oversight of that, but that was a missed opportunity to do just that, unfortunately. But that should happen going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's been a lot of reference to meetings and speaking to Madam Deputy Mayor. If she's in the audience, do you mind coming up for, yep, thank you. Your name has come up a time or two, so if you don't mind kind of sharing the process that you led, some of the conversations that you've had.
Yes, it has. Hello, everyone. Leader Lewis, thank you. Yes, I've been working with the community group. We pulled together people from the community. A couple have spoken tonight to come together to talk about this project. I mean, we needed to dig deep to understand exactly the history of the former cemetery. And so we have met, I'd say 2 or 3 times, to talk about, as a group, those next steps. Some of the issues that have come up, that was just referenced, like construction equipment, making sure that we're looking at options instead of bigger construction tools, maybe smaller ones that will be able to dig to find bones quicker or more easily without breaking if we were to find them. So there's a lot of discussion, community engagement, and that was the point. We wanted to address that up front so that people understood what the project was, what we were trying to do, and come together and really work together. That's been the focus of the Community Advisory Committee.
Councilors, do you have questions for Madam Deputy Mayor?
Have you found anything?
Comments? Okay. Thank you so much. We'll proceed with the list. Are individuals that wishes to, do you want to call names, or if there are individuals that want to continue to speak?
I'll say that was the end of the list of people who had specified this proposal.
Okay. Additional comments regarding the proposal? Yeah, everyone have an opportunity to speak to proposal 315.
Oh, the clutter.
Questions, comments from councilors? Yeah, Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam Leader. I would move that we send proposal 315 to the full council with a due pass recommendation.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you. Yeah, Councilor Jackson.
I just want to let everybody in the audience know that I will be following this, and we will be taking in consideration your comments and doing this in the most considerate. We understand that those were lives, those people buried family members buried. That's part of our history here in Indiana. And so we have heard and listened to you tonight. It has not gone in vain, and thank you for coming down to show your support and to testify on behalf of them, even though you may have not known them, in behalf of our legacy here in Indiana. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor.
Clapping for what?
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 325, approves the 2024 budget of the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District. Proposal number 325.
So the soccer stadium, in case you don't know, is the team is owned by the guy who runs Keystone, and so they want their own stadium. Basically, it's just like a giant hobby for this guy.
Hi, I'm Hannah Saunders, the treasurer of the Woodruff Place EID. I think you all have copies of our budget. So basically, we're wanting to spend around $99,000 this year on improvements, mainly to one of our statues that we're restoring. Another third of that would be to update our town hall building.
You have a town hall building?
I'm not sure what else you guys would want to know about it, but
Questions regarding the Woodruff Place budget? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal number 325? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move that we send proposal 235 to the full council with due pass recommendation.
I second that.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you
So
so much.
Woodruff Place
The next
was its
item on our agenda is
own
proposal number
neighborhood,
326,
don't look like a little
approves the
city
2024
until
budget of the
Unigov
Greater
came
Virginia
around
Avenue
and
Corridor
then
Economic Improvement
consolidated
District.
everything.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the council. My name is Kelly Mergot. I'm the president of Southeast Neighborhood Development, or SEND. I'm a member of the, as we say, GVAC board. SEND is also a property owner at 1044 Shelby Street, a property within the EID. So we presented to the council a budget of $82,000. $8,000 will be budgeted for beautification and public art, maintenance $22,500, economic development $32,500, and safety $15,000. Happy to answer any details about those budget line items.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Questions, comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal number 326?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Proposal 326.
Oh, Larry Vaughn, let's go.
Corridor Economic District.
What are we saying?
Yeah, the Virginia Avenue corridor, that's heavily laden with tax abatements and subsidized rent, just like projects in the old days. But it's all getting ready to come to an end because I come down Virginia Avenue every time I come to the council meeting. And folks, let me tell you, it's nothing but a mix of booze joints and greasy
Point of order, Madam Chair. I would like to know what this has to do with the EID.
They stay open for a few days and then they close. So,
Mr. Vaughn.
Point of order.
Stop.
no, but the situation on Virginia Avenue, that's where I live at.
Larry.
I consider it my community.
What does this have to do with the
And
EID?
It's really a disgrace for them to come in here and
Doesn't have
ask for
anything to do
funding.
with
Even David Ray is
in
laughing
the
about it. Guy in the top
situation
right
that they have going on
Mr.
down
Vaughn,
there.
this will be your last warning. Last warning. Speak to, yes, it is your community. However, we do have rules in this building and in this meeting. If you cannot, Mr. Vaughn, last warning. Last warning. I'm going to ask that you be escorted out. Additional comments regarding proposal number 326. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to send proposal number 326 that approves the 2024 budget of the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District to the full council with a due pass recommendation.
Second. The motion's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great to see you. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 327, approves an additional appropriation of $200,000 and transfer $10,000 in the 2023 budget of the Marion County Recorders funds for the purposes of preserving historical city-county records. Madam Recorder.
Got some old paper that we need to make copies of. It's going to cost us $200,000 to make a bunch of copies.
your mic. Maybe you just turn your mic on.
Everybody's so irritated.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Great.
ma'am.
All right. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of council. I am Faith Kimbrough, Marion County Recorder, and today we are here for a physical request. We are requesting $200,000 from the Elected Officials Training Fund to be allocated back to the Recorder Preparation Fund. This is a one-time allowable allocation per the state code, 1 IC 36217, specifically Section 9E4. The money will be used for indexing. Indexing is to be able to search the deeds back to 1961, that project, and we also want to restore some of our historical books as well. As it relates to the Elected Officials Training Fund, the Indiana Code below in front of you states that the Recorder's Office, we provide $1 for every recorded deed into the Elected Officials Training Fund. The current fund has $775,064 eligible for elected official training needs without depleting the perpetual funded account. JR.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Deputy Recorder J.R. Ryder. Continuing on, this slide right here gives us a breakdown of how we're going to use the $200,000 funds. So the first project, as Recorder Kimbrough mentioned, is our back audit indexing project. This is going to allow us, as the Recorder's Office, to be searchable by the public.
That's all you're getting for 150 grand?
Currently, all of our documents are searchable to 1964. So this is just another step in our
check the money laundering.
Goal
check
of
the
being
tape.
Indexed back to 1822.
I want to see these contracts.
The second project is our book restoration project, and if you take a look at the pictures, it's pretty clear that some of these are in fairly poor condition. So we've decided to take some of the more popular books and start a project that we can restore these for the public and also for our title company constituents.
Okay.
So there's one caveat to this whole request. The state code specifies that this one-time allocation must be transferred into our Recorder's Perpetuation Fund prior to December 31st of this year, 2023.
We have like no time.
Are there any questions?
This was
Thank
on
you so
November
much for your
20th.
presentation. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I just want to say I'm a proud sponsor of this for a couple reasons. I think preservation of our city's historical information is very, very important in data. And I think this is an innovative project, Madam Recorder and Deputy
200 grand?
Recorder.
Really?
And also I think it will help reduce fraud, especially among those who are using people's previous assets to gain their information. Or take over information, because it'll be recorded who the proper owners are and have historical data recorded. So I think that's very important. So I just want to applaud you on your efforts on this, and of course you have my vote because I'm the sponsor of it. Thank you so much.
Obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Additional comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal number 327?
I am glad the city recorder actually reaching back at 4, so when people come to research a piece of property, they can see all the liens and so forth when they pull the blue slips. So that's a good deal to go back to 61. That's going to clear up a lot of problems we're having with real estate, of people buying property with liens on it. And I think another step you ought to take is watch the quick claims that come through your court, because you know those are affidavits, and they can actually superficially transfer a piece of property. So you need to be on the lookout. I'll give you an example. I know that some unscrupulous person in my community had tried that tactic, but I spotted it. They had transferred a property, and when they transfer that piece of property, all the exemptions, like if you're a senior, your tax exemption goes away on the transfer of that property. That needs to be really tended, because a lot of seniors are getting their tax bills, they don't have their exemptions, and that may cause them to want to commit suicide.
Thanks.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I do want to let you know, Larry, that we do have the property fraud alert, and it's a free tool to the constituents, as Councilor Jackson was mentioned, to help. We can't prevent it, but we can help get ahead of property fraud. So thank you for that, because that is a true note. Thank you. Thank you,
Councilor
ma'am.
Jackson, thank you.
Thank
Madam
you.
Recorder.
I move proposal number 327-223 approves additional appropriations of $200,000 and transfer $10,000 in the 2023 budget of Marion County Recorder, County Records Preparation Fund for the purpose of preserving historical city-county records.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 328, approves an additional appropriation of $4,115,000 in the 2023 budget of the Department of Metropolitan Development and City Non-Departmental Funds for the purpose of providing local contribution to the Housing to Recovery Program, land acquisition, and affordable additional debt, and affording additional debt services capacity for the HUD Section 108 loan program. Proposal 328. Oh, Director Carr, you're back.
Yes, so I apologize that you have to see me again, but here I am, and I promise to be quick and brief. So before you in just a second, maybe, will be our fiscal proposal, and it really has three components as alluded to. The first is a $1.815 million commitment to the Housing to Recovery Fund. This was a commitment we made during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the Housing to Recovery Fund is a partnership with DMD and the Central Indiana Community Foundation around services for those experiencing homelessness. And so this fund is a huge contribution to the work around homelessness, and services has traditionally been the piece of the puzzle that has not had a federal funding source behind it. And so this is our way locally to engage the business community and the fundraising and the philanthropic community in raising funds for that project. So our annual commitment is $2 million. We have the appropriation for the additional, but this would be 1.815, with just over $1 million of this coming from the Housing Trust Fund, and then $775,000 coming from state of Indiana grants, which are really our opioid settlement dollars. So that is the first component of the fiscal. As we pull it up with technical difficulties here, I apologize. The second component is a $1.55 million appropriation, and this is really a transfer from community development block grant funds to pay down a Section 108 debt service loan that we have at the Central State campus. And this, if you'll remember, was from a few years ago. Before we did a Section 108 loan to support infrastructure development at Central State, and so the TIF can pay that back. Also, CDBG can pay that back, and due to timing issues, we have excess CDBG at the end of the year, and we want to make sure we get that spent. If we do not get that spent, we get docked potentially from future distributions of CDBG, because it looks like we cannot spend our revenue. So this is a really important project for us and helps us pay down debt service on infrastructure we developed a few years ago. So that is the second component, and then there it is. There's the $1.55 million as noted. And then the final component is $750,000 for the purchase of John Marshall High School from IPS. We evaluated a number of different funding sources, including those that were federal, but just generally due to requirements around the federal funding, we all, in alignment with the Office of Finance and Management and the Controller's team, landed on a $750,000 DMD general fund support. So we would be looking to use that and purchase it and continue our work with the Far East Side for the John Marshall Opportunity Hub. There are a number of partners. Next slide, please. That would have been engaged. It's got funds ready to support it from a capital perspective and also an operational perspective. There are philanthropic dollars tied to this project, and our piece is the acquisition and ownership
of it
as it gets off the ground and in community control. So again, this would be a roughly a $725,000 purchase price, but I think we asked for $750,000 in case of additional closing costs.
That's what the government.
And with that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Questions from councilors? Councilor Hart.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Rusty, for the presentation. My questions really pertain to the John Marshall School. So I've been to a couple presentations there, and I personally have just a vision of creating community resource centers across the city of Indianapolis, that being a really good example of one. You know, I've personally been part of one at Old Kip School, IPS. You may be aware of the involvement I've had there. What I'm curious about this project with the city purchasing John Marshall is, I believe there's a really large number of deferred maintenance costs related to that building. And I believe it's between like 15 and 20 million or something extremely large. And correct me if the numbers are wrong there, but that's one piece of it. The other piece is the operational cost to keep the lights on there is well over, it's about $1 million a year. And I know IPS has dedicated some help to keeping those funds going, or maybe they haven't. But what's the plan to keep John Marshall operational? I know what they're trying to do. You know, like I've talked a lot with Mike Higbee about this, right? And I know he's a big component of that. And I know they're trying to, you know, get investors in there and really like sublease this out. But to my understanding, the last time I checked, it didn't have the money to keep the lights on. So when it comes to, you know, our funding and the city's stake in it, you know, on one hand, I'm really happy to see these things happen, but also knowing the resolve for how do we keep it going from the deferred maintenance and operational funds. And if you could just talk a little bit about that, would be helpful.
Yep. So I think the one big thing is that, you know, we've been working with the community for a long time through the project and with IPS and understanding capital needs. And obviously, we released an RFQ just earlier this year to understand who would be fit to operate it and work within the community context to do that. And so the good news is part of the operational costs for an annual, keeping it going, or not keeping it going, getting tenants in there and actually utilizing the space, because right now it's not a lot of folks using it. And so when you actually get the folks in there and the structure in it and some of the infrastructure bones, there's commitments from those partners, some of these partners that are mentioned here that I probably won't name publicly, but they have made commitments to fund operating for up to 3 years with a potential for more. So there's operating money on the table. The other component is, you're right, there are some costs that are going to have to be figured out early on, and we're working to establish those, and we have the ready funds to support some of that. So there are grant funds there available to do that. The good thing is we can probably operate the building in different parts, so part of it can be operating and the other parts can kind of be siphoned off as plans for those developed, because as you know, it's a very, very large facility. And so there are ways to actually do it in phases and work together to do that. So we have a lot of community funds already established with the actual partnership and with the grants that are established already. It's now working to make sure those folks can get in to continue momentum and continue raising funds for additional projects and for additional phases to carry on.
Wonderful, thank you.
Councilor Jackson.
Thank you. I'd like to add to that. This is in my council district, and then this area is in such need. There's areas for co-working spaces that can need. There's places where you can get earned income from that. Places for rent out for other things, for entertainment spaces, and so much more, that there are earned income opportunities for this building that I'm recommending to the parties that they haven't even delved into, and this building can offer that. This community is in need of that space, and I think it can be really a win-win on both parties, for the community as well as those who are holding the lease to the facility. Thank you.
Additional comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to the proposal?
The only
328.
Larry, let's go.
Vaughn, please. You know, the only thing I'm concerned about is you're using money from the revenue bonds. Now, these revenue bonds, they're specified when they're appropriated for a special project, these municipal bonds must go to that project. I don't know much about municipal law, but that is one of the doctrines that this council must adhere to. Now, you're going to spend this part of the revenue off of these bonds for this John Marshall opportunity. That's just one of the things that you mentioned. And like I said before, with the Indy 11. That's an outdated model, just like the...
We're not speaking to Indy 11. We're talking about proposal 328.
Okay, I won't say that anymore.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, Madam Chairman. But in any case, I'm just talking about the misappropriation of revenue bonds and
This
that
is
you
not
miss...
about a revenue
There are no
bond.
revenue bonds.
Revenue bond fund. You're bringing money from the revenue bond fund. So what I'm thinking is that you're taking the bonding issues that you're actually specifying in this council, and you're putting them in one big pot, and then you do with it what you want to do, which is actually what happens to any part of the budget that goes out of this agency, goes into the general fund, and of course the chief executive can do what he pleases with it. So I'm just concerned about that, and I would just like to see a more look at, when you look at appropriating money, that the money actually goes, especially on municipal bonds, at 10%. That you would give the money to the entity or agency that it's appropriated for, and not the John Marshall Opportunity Hub, which we know that's a failed model. I mean, people are not going out to businesses. They're doing everything from home through their computers, through their whatever, their high tech, so forth. So I think these models that we've presented tonight are on the way.
Keeping the buzzer on them.
Yep.
I hope Larry runs for mayor again.
Mr. Jackson.
We
Thank
need
you for,
another guy like
your
him.
comments and feedback, and we respect everybody's. But I can tell you in that area, Mr. Vaughn, it is underserved and it is behind. It's not equitable compared to other cities, and many don't have the same access. Residents need an area they can go to. Many don't have computers or technology access. And you can look at me, but I'm in the area, I'm in the district. I'm telling you, I know my district, and I know the needs and what they are doing. And residents are looking for a place where they can come to and have resources. If you want to come out and support us, we welcome you, and we're looking for advocacy, but they do need resources, and they're looking for support for those resources. And I think this John Marshall, I can't speak to the rest of this bond, but I'm going to make sure whatever's in this, that it comes to what's pledged to John Marshall is going to come to John Marshall, and that community leaders and the residents advocate what's coming to John Marshall for John Marshall. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Councilor. Additional comments? Mr. Carr, will you just go back just for 2 seconds to explain what this proposal does and does not do?
Yeah, happy to. And so if you can go back a few slides. At the very beginning, at the Housing to Recovery Fund, this again is just an appropriation of the Housing Trust Fund, which is dictated by state law, and is really the revenue in that is from affordable housing developments or recording fees, and then also appropriating state of Indiana grants. This is the opioid settlement funds the city received and is continuing to receive. So this is new appropriation from grant funds and funds specific for affordable housing to pay for services for those experiencing homelessness. The John Marshall project is a $750,000 appropriation from DMD's general fund. So again, from the general fund, as noted there, for the purchase of John Marshall. We looked at other funding sources that were more federal in nature, but just due to complexity, we all decided this was the best route. And then where maybe some of the confusion came in was the central state. What this means is just there is an appropriation into the revenue bond fund, because the central state 108 loan is an actual debt issuance, and so that's just a technicality of the name of the fund. This is actually community development block grant funds, so literally federal funding used to pay down debt service for infrastructure bonds that we took out a few years ago.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I will now entertain a motion for proposal number 328. Councilor Jackson.
Madam Chairwoman?
Yes.
I make a motion to move proposal number 328, 2023, to approve an additional appropriation of $4,115,000 in the 2023 budget of the Department of Metropolitan Development and City Non-Departmental Consolidated County General State Grants and Revenue Bonds funds for the purpose of providing local contributions to the Housing to Recovery Program, land acquisition, and affordable additional debt service capacity for HUD Section 8 Loan 108 Loan Program with a due pass recommendation to the full council.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is
Evans.
Proposal 329, amend Special Ordinance Number 15, 2018, a bond ordinance which approved the issuance of an economic development tax
We're
increment
going.
revenue bond. Proposal number 329.
Guys leaving like
Good evening.
right in the middle.
Good evening, Madam Chair and council members. My name's Dennis Otten. I'm with Bose, McKinney & Evans. We are serving as bond counsel on this financing. This is a technical amendment to a bond ordinance that was adopted back in 2018 for what we call the Ilmark KG 220 project. That was the AT&T building and the building just across from the Key Bank building that is being converted into the Intercontinental Hotel. What this proposal does before you tonight is it authorizes the sale of the bonds to a purchaser that's payable only from the project TIF revenues with the taxpayer agreement behind it, so adding additional security. That structure was not contemplated back in 2018 when the bond ordinance was drafted. It's really more just of a change of industry and that there's more of an appetite for that type of structure now with these bond issues. So there's a purchaser lined up for these bonds. We plan to close them around December 11th or 12th. They will pay off the existing bond anticipation notes. The ordinance also makes some updates to the interest rate parameters given the market conditions. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Comments from councilors? Councilor Hart.
Yeah, I'm presuming we're raising the interest rate. What percentage are we going to?
We're going to 10%, Councilor Hart, not to exceed.
So we've seen a couple of these in the last couple of meetings, and they've been 8%. Why are we now seeing 10?
This is a function of this development and the purchaser that they are looking at for these obligations. It's really just to give additional room in the flexibility for marketing these bonds. This purchaser is looking for a higher rate, and given the condition of this tent,
Look at him smiling about it, too. He's like, we know you're screwing.
Additional comments from councilors?
Scumbag.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal number 329? Please ensure.
Larry Vaughn, please. That means, it just means that this TIF district is not actually performing. So they're having trouble paying the dividends. So what they have to do is replenish these bonds where they come before the council and assure that the city of Indianapolis bond rating is down to a B minus. So they're going to have to pay 10%, like the gentleman just said.
Vaughn,
That is false.
I checked Standard & Poor's this morning in the Financial Times Daily.
329.
No, hey.
329.
No, it is not. It is
Vaughn?
B minus. It is B minus. That's why they're paying 10%. And the bonds that he just mentioned were, I checked that too before I came down here, they were at 5%. Now they went up 10% because of the city of Indianapolis is deemed untrustworthy to pay their dividends. So what they have to do, like I said, is to go back and replenish these bonds because these TIF districts are not performing whatsoever.
Thank you. Again, when you come up to speak, this is the last time I'm going to ask you, Mr. Vaughn, speak to the proposal or leave this space. Like, we're not going to do this evening. You need to respect our agenda and speak to the proposals that are on the agenda and do not put out false information.
I don't care.
I know, but that's not what you're doing. Have a great evening. The next item on our agenda, we're going to vote on it, right? Sorry.
Yeah, Paul and A's laughing too.
Seeing none, I entertain a motion. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move that we send proposal 329 to the full council with a due pass recommendation.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 330, approves the issuance of a special taxing district of the redevelopment district payable from taxes on real property located in the near East Side HOTIF area. Proposal number 330.
Hi, I'm Karen Strunk, Deputy Director